Hello and welcome. It's a pleasure to be joined today by Dr. Olaf Groth, managing partner of Cambrian.ai, a think tank consultancy for clarity and strategy in the human machine economy. He's also a visiting scholar at UC Berkeley on the roundtable on the international economy. He's within the expert network for the World Economic Forum, addressing the fourth industrial revolution. And he's a professor for strategy, innovation, economics, and futures at the Hult International Business School. Thank you so much, Dr. Groth, for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be with you again, Nils. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Let's go right to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the regulatory space within the world of AI. And specifically, if you could speak a bit about the Cambrian Congress, the Digital Magna Carta, and global governance.
I'm happy to do that, Nils. So we believe that in order for us to harness the tremendous potential of artificial intelligence for both economic and business growth, but also for human growth and for societal development, that we need to shape this new, very foundational technology that will cut across every area of the economy and society on three levels. And the first level is the global level between communities and different countries. The second level is really on an industry level. And the third is inside corporations. And I'm happy to talk about all three of these. The Cambrian Congress is rooted in the top level, the macro level, between different stakeholders in society, including corporations. What we mean by Cambrian Congress is a congress of different stakeholders, corporations, universities, foundations, governments, the media, and various nonprofits, consumer rights and civil and human rights organizations, all of which need to talk to each other to frame both business as well as human development opportunity in the way that I just explained. Why is it called Cambrian? Because we are harking back to the Cambrian era in the world's development, the Earth's development, that was characterized millions and millions of years ago by an explosion of life, right? If you imagine the vast diversity of life that we see today in the rainforest or in coral reefs, that is the kind of diversity caused and originated during the Cambrian era. We want to focus this Congress not first and foremost on risks and dangers, but rather on opportunities. So we want these communities, these stakeholders, with a very design thinking oriented approach to understand and frame broad areas of opportunity for growth. Then we want them to say, how do we get there in a way that leaves the human condition either intact or improved? And we believe that there is tremendous potential for vast improvement. So we should define that as well. In that way, we are not stifling opportunity. We are taking the view of a growth hacker, as it were, to use a current day term of art, to first understand where we want to go. Then we want to understand how we safeguard that path. If we start with the safeguards first, we will stifle the opportunity, and that cannot be our aim. So in that sense, we are very business friendly, very entrepreneurship friendly, and yet very civic minded and responsibility focused. The Cambrian Congress needs to be, like I said before, a multi-stakeholder forum between those stakeholders that I outlined. We believe that we need to start region by region. So that will be within different parts of Asia, within North and South America, within Europe, within Africa, et cetera, et cetera. Based on those regional forums, then, we should come together fairly quickly on a very rapid iteration basis between the different regions and have exchange that are no doubt very culturally loaded with different value systems that might in certain areas also conflict. We have to have this dialogue of values in tension and find the overlap. We do believe that some of that tension negotiation will already have happened within regions, and hope that therefore the global negotiation will not be a new experience for delegates. At the end of the day, then, we want to make recommendations to government decision makers through the OECD, the G7, the G20, some established fora that have the credibility of consensus building between governments and joint rulemaking. We certainly want to end up there because we do need governments in the picture. We don't want to start with governments because we believe that the technology is moving too fast and that we believe we need entrepreneurial and scientific talent on the very edge of their respective frontiers to make a very agile contribution, rapid cycle very quickly in a very agile way. That too is a technique, or there are techniques that we can borrow from in business entrepreneurship. So after we have generated those opportunity definitions and recommendations for governance, we can then take it to the government level. But if we start with the government level, then we will no doubt get caught in the same wickedly complex and difficult politics that we see today in things like arms control and climate change. Unfortunately, there are very few precedents. There are a few, but they're very rare for the old approach working, the old approach being intergovernmental. Governance scholars believe that the new approach is a much more decentralized approach of overlapping circles and forums between the different regions that then find their way to each other. So that is what we propose with the Cambrian Congress. Now, if you wish, then I can also talk about the other levels of governance. So the second level is the industrial level. And here we already have a number of organizations that are becoming quite active. We have the IEEE, which is the world's largest and I would say most successful and most inclusive engineering association with chapters in every region. They are already charting codes of conduct for the engineering professions. We also have the Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, PI, that includes a number of the world's biggest internet companies from around the globe that is trying to think up new regimes of safeguarding and securing innovation in the space so as to avoid very heavy preemptive regulation and to send a signal to the market that these large internet companies too are responsibility and ethics minded, which we think is a great thing to have in the mix. Now then, going to the third level, which is the organizational or firm level, we believe that companies need to have ethical architects in their software organizations that will discuss with coders how to make different applications, different programs safe and human-centric for their workers, as well as for their customers and other stakeholders. We also believe that corporations need to train their software talent, especially software talent in machine learning and deep learning, to become much more savvy about ethics and about responsibility, really about normal human development patterns that come out of sociology, psychology, anthropology, really also philosophy. What is the role of the human being in modern society and modern corporations? Technologists, software programmers have signaled at UC Berkeley and elsewhere, MIT is another shining example, that we need to have a much more interdisciplinary approach, and they're very interested in learning more about the humanities. They already have the engineering part down, so now they want to get to the humanities and become smarter about that. I think we should definitely welcome that and collaborate between the humanities, economics and business, and technology, engineering and science. We need to create degree programs, training programs that educate all of us better at the intersections of these disciplines. So that is really the other measure that we need to take in order for us to responsibly exploit artificial intelligence and give it some self-regulation, some top-down regulation and some middle up and down regulation, right? But never without safeguarding opportunity responsibly.
Dr. Olaf Groth, I have to say thank you once again for sharing your insights within the global AI regulatory space. Again, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nils. I'll be back anytime you need me.
Sounds great.
Okay.